Imagine lying awake on a heavy August night, the air so thick it feels like it's pressing down on your chest, and your only escape is a lukewarm breeze slipping through an open window. Or picture organizing your chores around the creeping shadow of the house because stepping into direct sunlight felt like walking into an oven. For centuries, this wasn't an inconvenience. It was the normal rhythm of summer. Long before thermostats, compressors, and humming vents took over the job, people leaned on smart building tricks, daily routines, plenty of creativity to make the heat bearable. These are 10 ways families kept cool before air conditioning rewrote how we live. And it all began with the house itself. Before modern HVAC existed, architects built homes that worked with the climate instead of fighting it. Ceilings soared above the rooms below, allowing warm air to drift upward and away from daily living spaces. Tall windows weren't just aesthetic choices. They were placed to face one another across a room. Air could funnel straight through, pulling in cooler breezes and pushing out trapped warmth. Warmth perched above door frames, acted like tiny vents that stayed open, even when the doors shut, letting hot air slip out of the room all day long. The building wasn't just shelter, it was a cooling machine crafted from wood, glass, and airflow. Today, a front porch is a decorative accessory. But before a sea, it was the most important summertime retreat a house could offer. Those broad, shaded platforms became the family's escape from sweltering interiors. Evenings were a small community gathering, neighbors rocking in chairs, catching up on the day, sharing cold drinks, swapping neighborhood stories, and enjoying whatever breeze drifted by. Kids played, adults relaxed, and entire meals were eaten outdoors. When air conditioning and television took over, the porch slowly lost its place as the social heart of summer. And for folks who needed better sleep, the sleeping porch was the next level. These screened-in balconies, often on the second floor, were dedicated spaces for warm weather nights. Upstairs bedrooms trapped heat like ovens, but outside, under a roof and behind screens, families could sprawl on mattresses and let the cool night air do its work. From the late 1800s through the early 20th century, drifting off with the chirping of crickets and the brush of a breeze was in. Tea, a novelty, it was the preferred households with electricity. Fans changed everything. The first ones appeared in the 1880s, and by the time the 20s and 30s rolled around, they were a common household treasure. But people didn't stop at simple airflow. They invented hacks, placing a block of ice in front of a fan to chill the air, or draping damp cloths over open windows so evaporating water cooled the incoming breeze. Before refrigerators replaced ice boxes, icemen hauled massive chunks of ice door to door, and those blocks became summer lifesavers. Kids chased after delivery trucks hoping for a scrap to suck on. Families used their ice not just to preserve food but to cool drinks and turbocharge their fans. Out west, where the air was bone dry, a different solution emerged: the evaporative cooler, better known as the swamp cooler. By drawing hot air through wet pads, these units created a burst of refreshing, moistened cool air perfect for desert climates. They weren't much help in humid regions, but in states like Arizona or New Mexico, they made daily life possible long before refrigerant-based AC became widespread. Summer wardrobes also shifted with the heat. Practicality ruled. Light, breathable materials, cotton, linen, seersucker, dominated closets. Men swapped heavy fabrics for airy suits, or at home, shed layers completely in favor of thin undershirts. Women wore flowing cotton dresses, and children practically lived in shorts, sunsuits, or nothing more than barefoot freedom. The idea of squeezing into thick synthetic fabrics during summer? Unthinkable. Daily routines followed the sun's path. People instinctively slowed down during the blistering hours between noon and late afternoon. That was time reserved for resting in cool shade or taking a midday nap. Farmers and laborers rose with the sunrise, paused during peak heat, then finished their work as evening breezes returned. Hot chores like baking and ironing were morning tasks. This wasn't laziness, it was survival strategy. Public spaces eventually became cool sanctuaries. Movie theaters and big department stores were among the first buildings to install mechanical cooling in the 1920s and 30s. They advertised it boldly, and it worked. On scorching afternoons, the most appealing attraction wasn't the film or the merchandise. It was the cold blast of air waiting inside. Shopping trips doubled as heat breaks, reshaping how people spent their summers. And for kids, beating the heat meant community fun. Sprinklers transformed backyards into water playgrounds. In cities, cracked-open fire hydrants sent torrents of relief into the streets, drawing crowds of laughing children. Natural swimming holes, rivers, lakes, creeks became cherished gathering spots. Lemonade stands popped up everywhere. Popsicles disappeared faster than they could be eaten. Summer wasn't something to endure alone. It was a shared effort rooted in simple pleasures and resourcefulness.